I lived with my grandmother for a large part of my life. Across the street from her house lived a woman, her neighbor, who always looked at us in a strange way. She hated our family, and I still don't know why. She didn't hide it either. You could see it in her eyes, in the way she glared, like we'd done something unforgivable. But then, in 2015, when I was 8 years old, something unexpected happened. That same woman called me over to her front yard. She was smiling. It was the first time she'd ever acted friendly. I was an innocent, naive child, so I crossed the street without hesitation. She was holding a doll, a big one, around 3 feet tall. It had blonde, shoulder-length hair with bangs and looked just like one of those old dolls from the 80s or 90s. She gave it to me, and I accepted it. Why wouldn't I? I brought the doll home and showed it to my family. They thought it was odd that she'd suddenly act nice, but no one really questioned it. Days passed, and for no clear reason, I started to feel afraid of that doll. I didn't want to be near it. I couldn't look it in the face. My mom and aunt thought it was funny. They'd play little pranks like putting the doll next to my bed holding a fork while I was asleep. It wasn't meant to scare me. They always cared about me. But to me, it wasn't funny. I was terrified. And then, strange things started happening. My grandmother had already been struggling with depression after losing a close relative. But after the doll came into our house, her condition rapidly worsened. She began having hallucinations. She stopped recognizing people, even me, even my mother and aunt. The only person she recognized was my uncle. She would talk about seeing the house on fire. She told us she saw me and my cousins lying dead in the kitchen. She walked aimlessly through the house, never speaking clearly. There was always a worried, almost haunted look in her eyes. She wasn't herself anymore. It was like something had taken over. My family started to believe something spiritual was happening. We brought in a pastor to bless the house. We even called a medium from Umbanda, an Afro-Brazilian religion, to try and expel whatever was there. During one of these sessions, my mom, who has always been spiritually sensitive, said she felt a hand around her neck, trying to choke her. Eventually, my grandmother had to be admitted into a psychiatric hospital. Even there, the hallucinations continued. She believed the doctors were trying to kill her. She begged not to be left alone. And that doll, the one that the neighbor gave me, my uncle took it and threw it away somewhere along the road. To this day, I don't know what was inside that doll, and I don't know if our neighbor cursed it, but it's the only explanation that makes sense. My grandmother is okay now. She's stable, but she has to take a lot of medication to stay that way. We don't talk much about it anymore, but it's something none of us will ever forget. And that woman, that neighbor who gave us those dirty looks, she still lives across from my grandmother's house, and she still looks at us with hate. And once, she even tried to run me over with her car. I just wish I knew why. Why did she do this to us? Hi, my name is Nikola, and I live in Bulgaria. This happened when I was just 7 years old. I was staying at my grandma's house in our village during the winter. It was a small, quiet place where everyone knew each other. One night, I was out in the center of the village with my cousins and a couple of friends. We ate, we played, and as the night went on, it got later than usual. Eventually, it was time to go home. Now, our house was at the very edge of the village, and to get there, we had to walk down this long, dark road. There were houses along the way, sure, but it was still pitch black. The street lamps were there, but they didn't work. As we were walking home, we noticed a man standing by the road, all by himself. At first, we thought nothing of it, until we got closer. He didn't look right. His posture was off. His eyes were hazy. He was drunk. And as we walked past him, he looked directly at my youngest cousin. She was only 5. And said something under his breath. "You're a cute kid. Want to come to my house? I'll give you some candy." I froze. Then I grabbed her hand and started dragging her along with me and my other cousin, who was 6 at the time. We didn't say anything. We just walked faster. And the man, he just stood there, watching us. By the time we got to our house, my heart was racing. We had a gate in front, and it was locked. I quickly helped my cousins jump over it. It wasn't that tall, so I jumped over too. I grabbed the key from under the rug, opened the door, shoved everyone inside, including myself, and locked it. The house was silent. Everyone was asleep, even my grandma. We made our way up to the 3rd floor. That's where our room was. I grabbed some firewood along the way and lit the metal oven to keep us warm. And once everything felt safe again, I turned out the lights. But something told me to look outside, some feeling I had in my stomach, and I listened to it. I pulled back the curtain, and there he was, that same man, just standing there, staring. We made eye contact. I didn't want to scare my cousins. They were already drifting off to sleep, so I closed the blinds and went to bed, laying in between my cousins. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next day, I didn't see the man anywhere outside, and for a while, I let myself believe it was over. But a few days later, I had to go to my other grandma's house to deliver some things, and as I got there, I overheard a few people talking, and what I heard made my blood run cold. They said a man had been arrested the night before. He'd followed a young girl through the village and tried to break into her house. They had found him armed with a knife. In that moment, everything clicked. That man, he wasn't just some drunk villager. He was hunting. And if I hadn't grabbed my cousins and locked the door in time, God only knows what would have happened to us. My name is Yuma, and I live in a small city in India. My best friend Raj and I were beyond excited when we managed to convince my parents to let us have a week-long sleepover to kick off our summer vacation. My parents, both doctors, had to attend an urgent conference, so we had the house all to ourselves. We spent the day having a blast, prank calling, doing our nails, trying our new makeup looks, and just enjoying the freedom. As night fell, we decided to watch a movie and finally called it a night around 2 a.m. We went upstairs to my bedroom, but of course, being teenagers, the chatter didn't stop. Everything was perfectly normal until Raj suddenly went quiet and whispered,
"Did you hear that?" "Hear what?"
I asked, a bit confused.
"The rustling of the doorknob,"
she said. I brushed it off at first, but a few minutes later, I heard it too. That soft, eerie sound made both of our faces turn pale. But then, as suddenly as it started, the noise stopped. I looked out the window, but there was no one there. We tried to go back to our conversation, but the unease lingered. It's all we could think about. Out of nowhere, a loud crash from downstairs shattered the silence. It sounded like something had toppled over. We were paralyzed with fear, clinging to each other, our minds racing. Raj decided to call her mom, who lived just a few blocks away. In a panic, she rushed over, telling us to stay locked in the room until she arrived. She knew where we kept the spare key, so she was able to let herself in. As we waited, we heard the unmistakable sound of a vase shattering near my bedroom. We were terrified and convinced we were in real danger. Then, the front door unlocked. Raj's mom arrived, and as she came upstairs, she knocked on the door, reassuring us that everything was fine. When we opened the door, she was laughing, telling us that a stray cat had somehow gotten inside. We were dumbfounded, but then remembered we had left a window open earlier. We laughed it off, but still shaken. We decided to spend the night at Raj's place instead. The next morning, over a lazy breakfast, a chilling thought hit me. I turned to Raj, my face drained of color, and quietly said,
"If it was just a cat, how did it fiddle with the doorknob?"
The realization left us both speechless.